Good morning and welcome, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. October is here. It is the start of the fiscal year 2025 as far as the federal government is concerned. The baseball playoffs start. Yeah, the Diamondbacks are out. As, they needed a sweep yesterday by either the Mets or the Braves. They didn't get it. Quite honestly, let's face it, the way they played down the stretch, they didn't deserve it. But you know what? The heat is still here. Another week, they say, of record high temperatures in the Valley of Sun. Then it's going to hopefully start to be fall. But, oh boy, we tried to tell you yesterday, buy the dip from the dips, because there won't be a dip very long. And we were right once again. But a lot of things to talk about. We had Jay Powell talk yesterday. Said, hey, you know what? We can do what we want. We can do what we want. We're not on any set course. We don't know. Maybe we'll cut 25. Maybe we'll cut 50. You know, don't pay attention to the dot plots. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Listen, this is what happens. First, they tell you, pay attention to this. And then, you're paying too much attention to that. Pay attention to this. Here's the thing. There's too many things to pay attention to. More trouble in the U.S. bond markets, war drums beating, and I mean really beating now. The U.S. saying a attack on Israel from Iran is imminent, ballistic missiles and the like. Is this, is it worse? Russia has Ukrainian troops surrounded in one of these key villages. We're saying that hundreds, if not thousands, of Ukrainian troops are isolated. And this will be a town that was not taken before, as that war is heating up. And then, of course, we've got all the economic data to talk about. CVS, they may be doing a Walgreens. I'll just say that they've hired a group to advise it on how to be more profitable. We'll see how that works out. By the way, they're cutting 2,900 jobs. And then the port strike. It's official. It has started. 45,000 longshoremen are not going to work. We'll see how long this lasts. And then Boeing saying they may need to raise $10 billion. There's big trouble here. I guess they're going to sell stock. I don't know how that's going to work. It's already the stock's not worth a whole hell of a lot as it is now. As that strike continues, and don't forget, tomorrow we start to get all the jobs numbers. So it has been an action-packed, a lot of stuff's happened in the last 24 hours. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com, and so many things that we need to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with Jay Powell. Let's start with Jay Powell. Let's see what he had to say yesterday. So remember, he was talking yesterday and saying, hey, we're not on any one particular path, but the biggest thing that came out of it is that Powell had to say that the markets may be reading too much into different things. One of the things that he talked about, the jobs numbers being inaccurate. He said that he doesn't feel that the Fed is in a hurry to cut quickly. We'll see if he changes his mind on that. That was probably the most, non-dovish thing he says. Sometimes people pay too much attention to the dot plot. And, of course, here's the funny thing about that is They tell us that we're supposed to pay attention to it, but now they're saying that maybe we're paying too much attention to it. And then the biggest thing probably out of that was after the meeting, banks started making very interesting comments. Deutsche Bank, it's wise to be on high alert. One small shock will move things very quickly. JP Morgan, they all kind of jumped in and started talking about not only the shocks, which, none of them said, well, what shock are you talking about? And my guess is it could be any of them. But Bloomberg talking about this steepening yield curve. Remember a few weeks ago we told you that yield curve uninverted. It's a bad sign. And now the yield curve is steepening like a rocket ship. And this is another one of these signs that appears that we're having more issues in the bond market. And I think the real issue is the amount of issuance that needs to be coming out of this. And finally, they're saying that the M2 money supply, Jason's getting ready to break out here. So just like we thought that there was going to be a lot more money printing, and Bloomberg kind of throwing it out there. Are we at risk of a sudden spike in U.S. sovereign debt? Uh-oh. Maybe they are in a hurry to cut these rates. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday, and man, it's a lot going on in 24 hours. Quick look inside the markets. The Dow is down 360, the S&P's down 80, the Nasdaq's down 400. The 10-year note down to 371 as a flight to safety, as it appears that the Mideast war may expand, as they are expecting a direct attack from Iran into Israel. Israel is vowing that it will respond. They've already entered Lebanon, so this thing grows here. And we think there's a good reason for it, and it has nothing to do with the Middle East, if you will. Oil's up, $2.50. No surprise there. Gold's up $27 right now, $26.62. And we kind of warned you yesterday. Pay attention here, guys. Get this done. I know there's a lot. There's a lot going on. Nobody knows what to think. Nobody knows what to do. Oh, my gosh, gold's done so good. Maybe I missed it. You didn't. This is I wish you had. But this is really early, and I don't wish you had. That's wrong. I shouldn't say that. By the way, silver, it's up $31.50. Congratulations, all you bought platinum yesterday. Platinum's up another $12, and it's still early here. If this attack from Iran starts, I would expect a big move, a much bigger move than what we've already seen so far this morning. The need to be diversified, it's real. It is. And you need you got to take action. That's the hard part. Not taking action doesn't work. Right? Look at Warren Buffett. He's taking action. You know what he's doing? He's selling his stocks. Check out our friends at YRefi. Why? Because you can get up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. It's not correlated to Wall Street. It's not correlated to Fed. Heck, it's not correlated to war. or crude oil pricing or some dots on a chart. Give me a break. Oh, don't pay attention to that. Well, then don't put it out. Hey, if we're not supposed to pay attention to it, don't put it out. Pretty simple. They're talking out of both sides. You do get that, right? How about yesterday when Janet Yellen and the Fed vice chair, or whatever he is, talking about, hey, let's come up with a plan that if you're the big banks, we can somehow insure all the deposits somehow by printing a bunch of money. But the heck with all the other banks. Yeah, what does that tell you? Get diversified here. Call our friends over at YRefi. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them. I mean, that's the easiest thing. 888-YRefi24. 888-973-3924. And remember, you got to have a minimum of $50,000 to do it. But if you do, you can use an existing IRA. Some of you can use a 401k. But whatever you do, be more diversified. As, again, it looks like war is getting worse here. Obviously, the news with Iran, right, that's not great. Now, let's hope that's more like the last time where Iran lobbed some missiles, then Israel lobbed some missiles, and then they call it even. But it doesn't have that feel because now, all of a sudden, the United States doesn't appear like we have control. Remember the last time we kind of told them, okay, listen, Iran's going to fire some missiles on this day. And magically, one of them got through, hit a military installation, but the great part was nobody was there. Right? And then Israel got to throw some missiles back, and they called it good. This one has a much different feel. And then, people keep, I guess the Russian-Ukraine thing's kind of taken the back burner. But, Jason, this city that's getting ready to fall here, this has been kind of like where the big battle has happened. And reports today is that the Ukrainian troops are surrounded, big trouble, essentially, coming out of that war. And, of course, you know what that means. Oh, my gosh. We're going to need even more money, right? We need more missiles. We need more bombs. Apparently, they need more men. And, it just looks like war drums are beating. We've got Jay Powell coming out saying, hey, listen, maybe we shouldn't pay attention to this and don't pay attention to that. And all of a sudden, banks keep talking about, hey, we're one shock away from the breaking point, these black swan events. How about this port thing? If this thing goes a week, you're going to know it, especially if you're in the East, but even in the West. This thing goes longer than that. This thing turns into a Boeing thing, Jason. There's big problems.
$100 billion in damages or more in the hurricane, right? It's just piles on, doesn't it?
Forgot all about, right? You almost forget about the hurricane now, right? There's still 2 million people without power. And then yesterday, Goldman Sachs once again saying mystery buyers everywhere in the gold market. So think about what's come out just in the last 2 weeks. Saudi Arabia apparently has been buying gold for the last 2 years, hadn't told a soul. Had a 50% increase in its gold reserves. Then last week, they said, hey, oh, by the way, Iran, they doubled their gold reserves over this year. They done it this year. Then Goldman yesterday said, yes, the Chinese are saying that they aren't officially adding to its gold holdings like they've been. They've been reporting. But Goldman says they're buying 25 metric tons a month and not reporting it, and people are speculating, well, they may not have it part of their official reserves. They're buying it for other reasons. I don't know. And then Tanzania, another place where there's a lot of gold mining, just informed all of their miners in their country they need to hold back 20% of everything they mine because they want to buy the gold for themselves. And don't forget, Jason, we got that BRICS meeting coming up. And the countries are lining up here, and I think we're going to see a huge revaluation in gold. This is what it appears like is trying to happen. They're trying to get as much gold as possible. Goldman now speculating that they're trying to get as much gold as possible, as quickly as possible, and then do some form of gold revaluation. And Peter Schiff now comes out and says, hey, listen, gold could be 26,000, right? I mean, and I get it, right? He's like, hey, it went from 260 to 2,600. Why can't it go from 2,600 to 26,000? And we talked about BRICS a lot, Jason, with a revaluation, because if they really want to back it, 20, 30, 40%, which is what the reports are, yeah, you probably got to add another zero to gold.
The dollar to gold ratio for our currency, the dollar, United States, is 12,580. So I don't believe Peter Schiff's 26,000. That's an emergency number. But it's an emergency number if they just take it from where it's at to 10 grand, right, Joe? If they fall short of the actual dollars to gold, 10 grand. Can you imagine how much that changes everything, Joe, just by doing it? And an overnight change does happen. It happened in 1933, didn't it, Joe? And then when the gold window was shut in 1971, it didn't take long for gold to be in the hundreds of dollars when it was sitting at 40. So yeah, this has happened before. This is the type of situation that has happened before. It's always going to be different. You're not going to have a carbon copy, but Joe, a super cycle of gold is the lightest thing we're going to have, and an overnight gold price change is going to be the heavy thing we have. And I think 10,000 gold on an overnight price change that's a dramatic measure, Joe.
Well, we're thinking right now gold's up 30 now, 26.65. But it's interesting because you brought up 1933. Listen, this has happened in the past, recent past. Because really, when you think about it, 100 years, less than 100 years, that's like a blink of an eye in monetary terms. And, it was 20 to 35, right? It was 20 to 35, and you're talking about that was a 75% increase. And when you think about, let's say, gold, TV gold, $2,700 gold, because it's just easier math for me, right? Just a simple revaluation puts it to 4,700. And, of course, they're not revaluing it yet. Remember what Goldman is saying. This is up. Jason's holding it up. Well, I've got the same thing, too, in the Patriot office. This is the executive order talking about the gold confiscation. Both of our offices have that in there, so you can always check it out if you want to read it for yourselves. And after they confiscated the gold, 90 days later, they changed the price. And this is kind of what Goldman and Peter Schiff and others now are referring to, the amount of countries, according to Goldman Sachs, that is buying 400-ounce delivery bars from London is unrelenting. They said the biggest thing is most of these countries don't want to report it. They don't want to say they're doing it, which I think makes perfect sense. I think they should be forced to do it, right? Because, let's have transparency. Why, they talk about transparency all the time. Why is this like the one market where we're not allowed transparency? But I think everybody listening knows why, right? I think they know why there's not going to be transparency. But the realities are, I think gold is going much higher. I think gold's going much higher very short term. And then we're going to see a revaluation. I think that price, we're probably going to see gold closer to 5,000 than we are to where we are today when that revaluation comes to light. And Jason, it's very easy to get to 10, right? It's very easy to get, hey, we're just going to revalue it at 10. Or we're going to revalue it at 15 or 20, whatever it may be. Because, listen, if we're having trouble in our debt markets and we actually have the 8,000 tons of gold we say we have, that revaluation would actually be a good thing for the U.S. debt market. It really would be. Let's not kid ourselves.
I didn't even know this. I was reading some stuff last night. In 1934, they actually seized all the silver in this country, too. Did you know that? Executive Order 6.
I know they wrote the order. Yeah, they wrote it.
They did. I'll talk about it in the next segment.
All right.
It's interesting.
800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't walk to the phone. Run to it. $20 gold pieces, $2,795. I will tell you this. If gold closes here or higher, price is going to be over $2,800, well over $2,800 going tomorrow. Just to give you an idea, two $10 gold pieces. God, remember? We went like a year where you could buy two 10s for less than a 20, right? Forever. Two 10s. $2,960. $2,960. So $2,795 is an absolute steal, especially when you don't be surprised. Just don't be surprised if we're over $2,700 with any escalation with the Middle East. And then, of course, remember, we got the jobs data coming tomorrow. A low number, right? Anything remotely close to hey, they can cut even more. You get these oversized rallies playing out. And now, with this strike going on, the produce, I'll just let you know, produce can't sit around very long. Can you imagine what's going to happen? By all indications, I think this thing's going to go a while. I just because they seem so far apart, but we'll have to wait and see. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. We've got exactly what we told you was happening yesterday. We told you better buy the dip because it's not going to last. And Jason, obviously, the whole wardrobe, but gold was already up before that even came out. And now I think, everyone's got that itchy finger. The second the first missile goes off, you're going to see oil prices go crazy. You're going to see gold prices go crazy. And then we'll see what the economic data tells us. So today we got a really interesting manufacturing data number. This was the global PMI survey. It went deeper into correction territory. It's the third straight month now of negative growth. It was worse than expected. New orders remain in contraction for the sixth straight month. Employment tumbled back near the post-COVID lows, but the prices, they didn't really change. They didn't really change, and that's not what they want. You're like, hey, when nobody's ordering and nobody's hiring, you want the prices to go down. But yet we've got strikers everywhere saying we need more money. By the way, factories reported the largest drop in production for the 15th month in response to a slump in new orders, saying that new orders have dried up, Jason. So this is, and again, it's only 1 month. It's been on a bad trend to begin with, but this month, all the manufacturers, and this is globally now, are saying, man, orders dried up.
Yeah, every economic indicator seems to be slumping, right, Joe? And you know, that strike that's going to happen, or that is happening. It's interesting. It's interesting how the one-party system seems to be allowing this to happen, so to speak. I was watching a clip from Fox News, right? It's conservative, right? And they're demanding that the president step in and shut this strike down now. And I'm thinking, well, that sure isn't very constitutionalist. So this is a business deal, essentially. Why? And then Biden comes on. I watch Biden. They're asking him, why don't you step in and do anything? He's like, well, it's collective bargaining. That's not something I'm supposed to be messing with. And I'm thinking, oh, it's like first time Biden ever was doing what the president should be doing, which is staying out of it. But this goes back to the Reagan years. Remember how Reagan wouldn't let the airlines, the airports go on strike?
It was the air traffic controllers. Yes, wouldn't let the air traffic controllers.
You're not allowed to strike. Right. It's like, what? I mean, this is the whole thing. It's all controlled. It's all this situation is being manipulated and happening on purpose. You know, when you have the Democrats saying he's going to stay out of it instead of, you know, being tyrannical and making laws and pushing weight, and you have the conservatives saying, hey, get in there, president, and monkey around where you shouldn't, it shows you how things flip when they're supposed to flip, Joe. Things are going to get worse. Things are they're making this strike happen at this time. This strike is supposed to happen, Joe. This is supposed to happen. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think we get – what, do they maybe come up with an agreement right before the election? I don't know, right? What political thing is going to happen just to stop this strike? I think we got weeks of a strike.
I hate to say it. I really do, but I agree with Fox News. They should not have allowed this strike to happen. It's too important. Right. I don't know what do they think's going to happen? Are people this dumb? I mean, if this thing gets resolved tomorrow, okay, no harm, no foul.
Right.
We're talking about this next week. Oh, there's big problems. Big problems. All of a sudden, you know, there'll be places where you won't be able to get a screwdriver. Right? They'll just be gone. Right? You forget about produce. Right? They'll be gone. It just makes no sense to me. You know, when Walmart is telling you, hey, guys, you know, whoa, hey, this may be a problem. Anybody? Hello, McFly, are you home? Of course, how about yesterday? See, Joe Biden told reporters that we're not sending more troops to the Middle East, but the Defense Department said, oh, yeah, we just sent more troops to the Middle East. Did you see that? I mean, the guy's clueless to begin with, but I don't disagree. I think it's, you know, what would you say? Too important for the nation? Cause like the air traffic controllers with Reagan. No, you can't strike. Planes will crash. Like people, right? Like, you know, nobody would be able to fly if you guys don't go and do your job. I don't know how this is supposed to work. I really don't. I mean, what happens? The store's going to order and it's just going to say out of stock, and then the consumer shows up to the store and there's nothing there. I mean, how does that make any sense? But to Jason's point, this is obviously what they want to have happen.
I think it's going to last a while, Joe. I really do. I might have the sound clip of the union boss, how tough he's talking. When you hear it, when you actually listen to this guy, this doesn't look like it's getting resolved, maybe even till after the election, Joe.
800-951-0592. Run to the phone and get your gold put away. 800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces, $2,795. The best deal I got in silver. Rolls of silver quarters, $250 for 40 silver quarters. Right now, American Gold Eagles rolls at $785. I think silver's so close to this breakout here. Silver, we get silver to close above $32.25 more than once. Look out. I'm just telling you right now, look out. We will probably see 35 very quickly from there. We almost did it last week. We were right on that precipice on Thursday. So, again, unfortunately, all of the charts, all of the program, everything's on the precipice, once again, of breaking out to the upside. And now China, for the third day, the third time in less than a week, another monetary bazooka, now going after its property markets and saying that coming into its 75th anniversary of National Day, they're saying that everyone's going to get a gift. Yes, a gift. And buying property, iron ore skyrocketed on the news. Now, granted, iron ore has been very, very depressed. Chinese real estate stocks jumped almost 14%. Jason, they've lifted all the restrictions. You can buy as many homes as you want now. Anybody can buy them. And, oh, by the way, here's a special rate. And, oh, here's some down payment money and everything else. China's just launched literally a monetary bazooka, which is going to continue to put pressure on the United States and cause inflation.
98% of the iron and steel that's imported into America comes on the East Coast and the Gulf ports. So how about that, Joe? 98% is going to have to go through the Panama Canal now and go around to the West Coast, which will probably get clogged up. This guy's name.
Well, the Panama Canal's already got delays, right? That thing has not been working well to begin with. Not enough water.
The International Longshoremen's Association president, his name is Harold Daggett. This is 30 seconds. Listen to this guy talk about what's going on.
As they come out.
And pay taxes. They want to get rid of them. Where's the president of the United States? He's not fighting for us. He told in L.A., he told the union, hurry up and get a contract. That's the mentality they have. They don't even know what the hell they're doing today. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to save everybody's job when it comes to the IO around the world, because we're going to fight it with that alliance. I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them.
That's the attitude of the unions, worldwide unions, by the way. This isn't just America, it sounds like.
Man, and again, calling for where's the president of the United States? He wants – now, here's the funny part. He wants the president to put the pressure on the port owners.
That's right.
That's what he wants, right?
70% for 6 years. They want in 6 years 70%, and a lot of people are saying that that's just too much. And I'm wondering if that's even enough. We better at least get that. They probably know what's going to happen, Joe. They know what the next 6 years.
Well, you got to remember that does sound like a lot, right? But they probably got very little over the last several years. So First you got to catch up, right? First you got to catch up. And then all of a sudden, let's just say, well, okay, 25% to catch up. That kind of changes it now. 45% over 6 years. Hey, you're like 7%, right? But again, it's still a lot. But you got to remember, these guys. Here's the problem with these long-term contracts, right? Hey, you get locked in. If inflation goes nuts, well, you got to pay a little catch up. By the way, he's just got another price increase. There you go. Just like that. Listen, I'm holding this. I'll just say this. I will hold this price for the rest of the day unless gold goes above 20. Then it's off. $27.95 on $20 gold pieces, libs or saints. I don't care which one you buy. We got rolls of silver quarters at $250 at 800-951-0592. More people, boy, the gold forecast, they just keep raising and raising and raising. Goldman Sachs, $29.73 is now their new average price for next year. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Based on what Goldman is saying, why do I have the feeling, Jason, that number is going to go a lot higher before 2025 is over? Because they're just laying this case out, that all of these countries are working together. They're all working together to buy gold, to store the gold, to try to keep the gold reporting to a minimum. And then, according to Goldman Sachs, when they're ready, there's going to be a major revaluation in gold. Now, that's not in 2025. That's not what Goldman's saying, right? Hey, we're not going to revalue in 2025, but 2026, 2027, 2028, I don't know. But it's an all-out buy fest from Asia to Africa, Central America. Jason, pretty much everywhere outside of, like, the G7. Seems like they're all either buying gold or talking about buying gold.
It's going up, guys. It's going to go up. And who knows? Will there be a dip somewhere in the middle? Does that even matter? Do you remember that hit 2 weeks ago? Yeah. No, you'll remember the road you have to travel ahead of you, right?
Well, we had a dip for 2 days, Friday and yesterday. Now that's gone. It's already back to where it was and threatening to take out the all-time highs. We'll be back. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Tuesday. The Dow is still down, but off the lows. All the defense contractors are at the highs of the day. That's not a great sign, as it looks like we are going to get a expansion in the war in the Middle East. On top of the news that Russia now has Ukrainian troops surrounded in one of these key villages, or Russian troops have Ukrainian troops surrounded in one of these key villages. That serves kind of as a choke point for the Ukrainian army. $20 gold pieces, like I said, $27.95 until $2,700, which could be today. If this happens, I don't know that it will. Is Iran going to launch at Israel? We'll wait and see on that. Again, that's like a one-day thing, two-day thing, whatever it may be, but it's all about demand. And it just is unrelenting. Remember, we've got that big BRICS meeting coming right after the elections. And it appears more of these African nations now are requiring their gold miners to withhold gold from the markets so they can buy it themselves. And again, this is just going to continue to put pressure, as Goldman is hinting, and I think rightfully so, that it looks like these countries are working in concert together to try to get as much gold. Why do it the way these countries are doing it? Hey, we're just going to buy your supply. You know, hey, if you're going to mine 1 million ounces, hold 20% of that, because we're going to buy it directly from you, because it doesn't get to London. It doesn't get registered. It doesn't show up. Of course, it takes the supply down. But what Goldman is saying is they're doing what they can to keep the price as low as they can for whatever. The thing that Goldman didn't seem to know is how long, right? How long? And then speculation, Jason, that it's going to be a major revaluation. That would be interesting. I don't even know what that would look like. I mean, could you imagine showing up one day and, I don't know, the I don't even know what that would look like. That would be very interesting. And I'm just going to say this. Now, I know that's bad, but if the United States actually has the gold we say we have, they actually got to have it. If they do, that will at least help them with the debt market problems that Jason. So could there be one of these events that shake the markets, then they do a gold revaluation to add security to the markets? I don't know, but it's definitely, the fact that we can talk about this as a possibility just tells you how far things have gotten.
Well, at the end of the show now, I just feel like there's nothing we said today that says that you shouldn't buy gold. How's that? If you're sitting on some cash and waiting, everybody, some of these speculators on the internet are talking about, how many times have you missed? Has it been going up in 2024, Joe? How many times have you missed?
800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Jason and I, we're coming right back of the Half Empty Cup.